Picture this, if you will. You enter a world totally devoid of sight and sound, other than the whirring of stepper motors and the flashing lights of the control board. You find that you've entered the Tarantula Zone. Hello, YouTube. My name is Sammy, and welcome back to Sammy's Workshops. Before we get to today's project, let's take a moment to talk about workshop safety. Be sure to read, understand, and follow all of the safety rules that come with both your hand and power tools. Knowing how to properly operate your tools and following these safety rules can significantly reduce the risk of damage and/or personal injury. And of course, there are no more important safety rules than to avoid loose clothing, long sleeves, and to wear safety glasses, hearing and respiratory protection as needed. Now let's get to today's project. Today we're back to the TEVO Tarantula 3D printer project build, where we'll finish up the assembly, do some calibration, and our first prints. As stated in part 1, the build went pretty uneventfully. The instructions pooped out midway as expected. Thanks to some build videos on YouTube, links I will have down below, I was able to go ahead and get that completed, as well as do the calibration. I did add initially a glass print bed. I'll have dimensions to that, both imperial and metric, in the comments down below. It's a piece of double strength glass I got at my local hardware store. I started off printing out the 20mm test cube, and the first one failed partway through. The extruder was skipping. I was getting that clicking problem. And another video to the rescue. I was able to do that fix. And the second attempt at the cube worked very well. The dimensions were off just a skosh, and I chalked that up to having no part cooling fan. I was going to go ahead and print a 3D benchy next for a second baseline print, but I felt I needed to get the part fan built or printed and installed straight away. The first attempt at that, using some of the kit supplied PLA, it didn't go well. There was more skipping and some poor extrusion along the way. The print did get completed, but it was so fragile that it broke on trying to install it. I have a small conventional desk fan that I pulled over to see if that would help, and it did help out and got me through the second print, so that the second print came out much better. I did also find I needed to adjust my slicer settings a bit. Let's see here. I was printing at a 0.2mm layer height, 55-degree bed temperature, and 195-degree nozzle temperature, and that seemed to work out pretty well for the stock supplied filament. I next up printed some bed leveling knobs, as the thumb screws for the bed leveling kept loosening up during printing. I'd adjust the bed level, and it would be off by the time I finished even a simple print. I kept all my prints right along the center line of the y-axis to minimize the effects, and that did help. I installed those bed leveling knobs as soon as I had them completed. They make just enough contact with the bed support pieces that they don't back off like before. Nice modification and hack. The next thing I started to print was a spool holder. Babysitting prints and unrolling 2 minutes worth of filament at a whack was getting both tedious and boring. Laugh out loud. Anyway, these were also printed along the y-axis for centerline for stability. And again, I had to make some slicer modifications, as several attempts didn't seem to want to stick past the 4th or 5th layer. I also had some prints that simply came off the bed. I solved that problem with some Elmer's purple glue stick and managed to get my slicer settings dialed in a bit better, and they came out pretty well. Well enough that my girlfriend's fiance, who also has a 3D printer, I think he's got a Hero 101, I think. Anyway, she said he was going to need a spool roller, and could I print one for them? So I did. Merry Christmas, Shauna and Michael. I had several clogs along the way, and I had cleaned and redone the PTFE tube several times. I've asked in the TEVO community about that, and it seems to be a typical problem, especially with the included filament, which doesn't seem to be of the best quality. Still, I am grateful that TEVO included it so I could get some test prints cranked out at first. I'm looking to order a stainless steel nozzle on a recommendation from Joel over at 3D Printing Nerd, along with some replacement PTFE tubing and possibly even some of the fittings, just to make sure that I've got spares as needed. You never know. I did reposition the extruder down a bit on the upright to relieve the sharp bend up at the top. If you look closely enough at my Bowden tube, you will see my wires are attached to it. Several sharp-eyed folks, and helpful ones, by the way, thought that my clogging issues might be from a pinched tube due to using wire ties here. I didn't use the conventional wire ties. Because I expect to take this apart several times in the modification process, I used the little bread ties that came wrapped around the various wiring bits in the kit. They're quick to install and to remove as needed during each modification process, or even for bits of maintenance, and they kind of help tame the rat's nest wiring that the Tarantula is so well known for. Eventually, I will use some conventional cable wrap, although probably not the type supplied in the kit. I found it pretty hard to get the cables in and out of. I will point out and provide a link to the cable wrap I use when I get to the point where I'm going to install it. This seems like a good place to take a break. In part 3 coming up soon, I'll start making some more modifications to make the printer even better. Then we'll start making things for my workshop. I do have several ideas already cooking. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like, subscribe, and click on the alert bell to get notifications of new videos being uploaded. I upload new videos each week on Wednesday, with some others in between as time and projects allow. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I have a website as well for the patterns I digitize and plans that I have to download. I'll put links to all of those in the comments down below. Thanks again for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Do come again soon. Till next time, see ya.